welcome Alan to
Thank you
D2C
so much.
Bites. We have
Thank you so
started
much.
to run this interesting talk show with fellow D2C marketers, brand managers in terms of understanding how are they traversing the space, learnings
Mhm.
from each other. So thank you so much
Right.
for sparing out time and doing this.
Thank you so much for having me here, man. Thank you.
Great. I think let's start with the first question. Which at least I used to get a lot
Uh-huh.
during my days at Bombay Shaving Company.
Right.
And of course, we work with a lot of brands today, and I'm sure
Yeah.
this is one of those things which is top of the mind for people, and also it's very important for digital marketers. Right? How do you
Right.
balance both performance marketing with brand marketing? When to do what? Is there a ratio to look at?
Right.
And does it differ for small brand, medium brand, large brands? And I have
Mhm.
seen myself describing that there is a curve beyond which performance marketing returns diminish, and that's where
True.
you need to push brand marketing through.
True.
Or
True.
I like to put this as that if you want to solve problems at source, then do
Mhm.
expenditure, good amount of expenditure on brand as well,
Right.
also supported by performance, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
performance
Absolutely.
will get the short-term sale, but brands get built out in the long term. So
Absolutely.
would love to know from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question, Chirag. Very valid one. In fact, what I really think about this whole thing of brand versus performance is that so over here, what we'll have to do is we'll have to segregate the brands that we have in the market today, at least in the D2C space, as per where they are. Right. We have a lot of brands that are starting up, which are not present on retail, complete upstarts, right, in the D2C space, just trying to set their foot in. Brand marketing at an early nascent stage, as of my opinion, wouldn't be their main point of source, at least as of now, because we work with brands across the range, right? At Forward, we work with a lot of brands who are small, if I could take that name, in the medium space and in the larger space, right? So what I've seen is that brand marketing comes into the minds of these brands once they've reached a certain revenue goal, very honestly. And this is for a bootstrapped D2C brand is what I'm talking about. So post that time is when actually the concept of brand marketing comes, when it's not just GMV anymore. It's also the brand value, the ad recall, the brand recall that matters. So post that is when we actually see that brands start pondering even about the thought of brand marketing. But if you go back to the question of performance marketing, that starts from day zero. Danda is the most important thing, I guess, when it comes to D2C, right? So performance marketing is on from day zero. Brand marketing comes in a little later once things get really serious. There is product market fit. The initial customers have been acquired and they are retaining as well. Once that kind of confidence has come into the brand along with their partner agency, that's when you start focusing more towards the brand marketing. And again, a good starting point for brand marketing, I would say, is 20% of the media budget that you have for performance. At least as an upstart brand, when you start thinking about that. So we've done that for multiple of our clients, that we've started off with. And they started their D2C journey with us. And over a span of 3 to 6 months, we've been able to get them to a certain GMV stage where they've been, wondering if brand marketing is the right thing to start doing now. So that has been the journey.
So just to, if I got it right, so you're saying
Mhm.
that start with very minimal and then scale it up to 20%, 25% as you achieve
Uh,
product market fit. Is that I got it
Not
right?
really, not really. So, no, that was not the point over here. The point was that once the brand starts, they start off completely with performance marketing.
Correct.
Brand
Correct.
marketing is little to nil, very honestly. Little to nil. It's about just daily ROAS or weekly ROAS that we
Yeah.
have. Once the curve starts going up, once we hit a certain revenue number per month, is when we introduce the concept of brand marketing. Then even a bootstrap D2C brand is comfortable spending on building that brand when they're not making money off it on the short term, right? So that is the kind of way that goes.
So I think I totally agree, and with the philosophy also and the way you're going about it. That
Right.
first you need to figure out that do you have a product market fit? Have you got the
Absolutely.
pricing right? And the
Yeah.
repeats right? Have you got the cohorts right? And once
Right.
you achieve that, then you start to worry about that. Okay, how do I build defensibility? You can't worry about
Right.
defensibility day one. right?
Right. Right.
And at least I have seen that brands being built on D2C.
Yeah.
Largely being the thesis being, and I'm moving on from an era where in 2015-16 when you've seen Boat and some of these
Right.
electronic brands getting built, because it was, and if you listen to Aman Gupta, he keeps saying that they built largely because of Amazon, Flipkart, because they got it right time, and Amazon etc. were just funding discount to continue to grow. They got the category right. And I remember on those days Amazon used to have generic keywords. Right. Now, imagine that when you were fighting, people were searching for headphones. Now they're searching for both headphones. So it's become very different. Intents have become very different, and hence getting that share from that market is very difficult. If you have to do that now you will do that outside of that, because Amazon no more is where you can educate someone that okay, this is my brand, stands for without state.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah. And you see that journey, at least I see that as a very classic way of building out a business where you start something small, and the beauty of D2C is that you can really start small. You can do 10 transactions a day and still be very meaningful things in your control. You get access to so much data, and through which you can understand the consumers a lot more, do lookalikes, call them, understand them, create personas, and then build.
Absolutely. No, so that's the whole point, right? So now, me and you, we are a provider, right? Now, if we go back to the brand, and the mentality that they have, everybody would love their brand to be a big brand, right? It's about when can they invest for that, especially if they're bootstrapped. Funded is another point, I guess, but when they're bootstrapped is about when. Everybody wants it. It's just about when, and that time comes after a period of time. Yeah.
And because you do, early stage brands also, which are pre-PMF stage. Do you, is there a metric, let's say from a marketing side point of view, which you track, which is, let's say if I start getting this much amount of click-through rate, then it starts to mean that, okay, this is a wide open category, and hence, these are early signs of product market fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what ranges are those?
Absolutely. So, to answer your question here, Chirag, it's we look at two key metrics, even for a pre-PMF brand or a post-PMF brand. The way we look at it is we look at pre-click metrics. These are all your metrics before the ad is clicked on. Then we looked at post-click metrics. This is your metrics to do with everything on your website or the customer journey after clicking on the ad. So on your pre-click metrics, the three most important metrics that we track is CPM, CTR, and CPC. Right? And again, this will vary within industry.
Yes.
This will vary within industry. But since we work on multiple accounts within Hover, and we've worked on many accounts before, we know the ranges of what a good CPM for a fashion brand in the lady segment should be. Right?
Yeah.
We know what kind of a CTR should be for XYZ. Right? So once we have these pre-click metrics sorted, that means PMF is there. At least to an extent, right? Then post that, we'll look at the post-click metrics. We'll look at the page speed, we'll look at conversion rate, we'll look at what is the AOV the brand is trying to fetch. Those metrics can differ. A lot of tech issues can happen there, but at least from a standard point of people actually wanting to at least come to your store tells us a lot about the product market fit that we have.
Interesting, and I think this would be helpful to a lot of people that these are clear early signs of some sort of some sort of you getting the crack right before you work on, let's say, more experiments on some of the ad creatives, copies. But you gotta, and I like to put this as that, initial days you are in that period where you're firing bullets, and you are looking for that one bullet which will give you a reciprocate with that noise, so that you can fire a cannon.
Absolutely.
So some of these indicators are very, very important.
And at the same time, go ahead.
So I was moving on and saying that while conversion, of course, remains an important aspect, as we are seeing that macro change, wherein we are not,
Mm-hmm.
at least at the moment, not as gung-ho as what we were in 2021. One, because there was a COVID
Right.
effect,
Yeah.
and everyone's shopping online. Now, of course, the world has
True.
opened up, and there is inflationary scenario which is going on. Are you
Right.
seeing
Right.
brands shifting focus from conversion to retention more? We keep hearing that
Mm-hmm.
repeats is the new mantra, while new
Mm-hmm.
customers getting easier, which was a
Right.
growth mandate phase,
Right.
there.
Right. Right.
And now the focus is on retention. And are you seeing that
Right.
narrative getting changed? And then how are you focusing on it?
Right. So just to quickly put a one-liner here, right? There is no retention without acquisition. Right.
There is no
This
retention without
is
acquisition.
this is what we should keep in mind. I mean, of course, CACs are getting costlier, CPMs are going beyond the roof. But how long will you try to retain? You have to keep the acquisition funnel also open, right? So the way I look at it is, it's not that retention is the new thing or something like that. Retention has been introduced now. Like, people are taking retention more seriously than they ever took.
Yeah.
Retention was always there. Everybody was sending email, post, SMS, WhatsApp. Everything was there. It's just that since CACs are going really high, people are trying to give a little more attention to the beautiful retention thing that we always have, right? But at the same time, from the brands we work with, right? So our advice is at least to uh, acquire. Acquisition can never stop, because the retention might look good today, but if your acquisition stops or comes down really less, your brand will be in a big problem 6 months down the line. Right? Your funnel should always be flowing, right, throughout, from the top to the bottom, wherever it is. So retention, of course, yes, is a very important aspect today, and it will definitely be an important aspect tomorrow as well. But acquisition is acquisition. You have to acquire new customers to keep the boat afloat, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think from VC world also, at least
Yeah.
the way they look at companies becomes slightly different. I'm not saying fundamentals, of course, for a consumer brand business remain the same,
Right.
but in a growth world, you would want to look at how is the new user growth trending, whereas
Yeah.
in let's say a subdued growth world, which is today, wherein growth is not the mandate, we were saying, okay, let me look at unit economics, etc. Then that's where retention
Right.
comes in focus, and
Right.
people would want to And are you seeing some newer strategies getting implemented on retention? How, and is this the old school of RFM still getting implemented, or are there newer models which you are implementing?
No, so from what I see is that WhatsApp has been completely, bombarded. Everybody is just, heavy on WhatsApp, which is a pro and a con, is what I would say, right? Of course, it's a pro as you're going directly to the consumer on a place where he spends most of his time on for work or for leisure. But the con is that when most of the brands go at the same time, that can, probably hurt us a bit. But apart from that, what I see is that, I see a lot of brands that we work with, have, special offers just for retention, like how they have special offers just for acquisition, trying to probably, make a little more impact on their existing customers, which is, of course, driving better conversion rates, better, returns, at least on the bottom of the funnel. So, from my point of view, it's that, retention is a good activity if done in periods. You cannot, if your superset of users are 1,000, you cannot try to retain them every day. But at the same time, you can try to acquire 1,000 new customers every day and try to retain 1% or 5% of them on the coming days. Yeah.
Got it. And I think you mentioned an interesting point wherein you're saying WhatsApp thriving.
Yeah.
How is that compared to, let's say, the traditional retention channels, email, SMS?
Uh-huh.
How's that panning out? Can you share some numbers there, broad numbers? How is WhatsApp initial days looking like?
Very honestly, WhatsApp is looking very good as of now. But email was also looking very good when it started. Right. So if I have to compare an apple to apple, I cannot compare email or SMS today compared to how a WhatsApp is now. So as of now, what we see in the market is that, for retention, WhatsApp as a channel, or I'm not even talking about a chat bot or anything like that. I'm just talking about a normal WhatsApp broadcast for a certain sale or for a new product launch to your cohorts of customers that you have built out is working really good. To throw in a few numbers, we see returns times 5 than acquisition on retention on WhatsApp, which is very healthy. But of course, the scale depends. Right? Scale is not much. And again, another thing, very honestly, like candidly, if I can tell you, is that you cannot spam on WhatsApp. Right? You cannot spam on WhatsApp. You will get flagged. They're very careful about that. I mean, I used to see brands sending emailers out every day. That cannot be done here, right? Doing that could definitely put you in a bad light. And there has been experiences where I've seen a few WhatsApp accounts get blocked again, to never gain their account back to continue retention on WhatsApp. So a little tricky as of yet, still in the nascent stages. Yeah, still in the nascent stages. I think there's no playbook out there yet. I mean, playbook for how to do it right. I mean, there's a lot of, how to increase the sales, or, how to retain more customers. Just how to do it right kind of a playbook is still not built. And I think, a lot of brands are trying out different, very honest. Nothing standardized yet, at least from what I think.
Yeah, I think still, and you made a very good point that, if you compare email to WhatsApp today, email probably is gone 25 years ago. So it has matured, and then people have extracted all the juice. And it has gone through that journey where, spamming was done, hence Google came up with updates, Prime Day, all of those inboxes, and hence it's sidelined now. I think we've all seen the journey. Similar is happening on SMS. So, and I think, so in my view, at least the way I look at this is maybe WhatsApp gives you that initial advantage, which let's say COVID gave you. That there were tailwinds, e-commerce was booming, if you put the right product, it was going. Similar on WhatsApp, because it's initial days, and with the caution of what you said, that you don't need to spam this, because it not only hurts you from a WhatsApp reputation point of view, but also you're a brand. You don't want to hurt your reputation because people are just, fed up because of you're sending too many messages.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest benefit of the whole WhatsApp game is WhatsApp Pay. Right? That probably can be the game changer for this whole thing that we're talking about. Right? So I'm really excited to see how it's going to get integrated into the market. I mean, it's there. I'm just talking about in wide scale. Right? And I don't know if I'm right on this, but recently I saw they were hiring for a lead in India or something. You might know better than me.
They have got a very senior, in fact, know him, Manish, who used to run Amazon Pay, I think, Amazon India. He's joined as a head of WhatsApp Pay. So they are building and trying to, take it to the next level. And I think it would be a very, very great seamless experience. Just that, we need to get it right from a consumer point of view that, consumers today know WhatsApp for chat. It's, and not for payments. So, and you, because you come from marketing world, so, however logical we might be, but, consumers work in a very emotional way, wherein they have associations with different things. And at least from an association point of view, we've realized that Google Pay is known for payments, WhatsApp is known for chat. Of course, they can move certain traffic to pay, but will they be able to take on Google Pay? I think that's what to do.
No. So Chirag, so I think there's a point I missed over here. Right? So I'm not talking about WhatsApp Pay just being a payment channel. So what I was trying to deploy here, or try to brainstorm, was about how retention activity can be pushed through WhatsApp like it already is, and a direct purchase happening through WhatsApp will give you conversion rates through the roof, kind of a thing, right? So thinking about the D2C ecosystem here, and that might be a game changer, and probably you can have a go quick checkout there. Maybe
so we already have done something still in beta, wherein you can check out within WhatsApp. So it's already in place. Maybe I'll send you offline, but that's a very interesting, one which I'm sure people will lap up. Awesome. Moving on. So, as we approach the holiday season, how, what kind of preparations you are doing, what advice you would want to give to brands that, how they should be preparing, because, if you read stats, 40% of sales happen during this period, right? So it's in some way make or break.
Yeah.
So what preparations are you doing? How do you as a marketer prepare yourself? How do you as a brand prepare yourself for the big season coming up?
Right. So thank you, Chirag. I think the most valid question is this one, right? So it's the holiday season. It's when everybody's out to shop, and it's when CPMs go higher, right? So I am, of course, man. Like Amazon starts their sale tomorrow, and it's already on for Prime guys today. I'm already seeing a 25% CPM hike in all my accounts today. Little scary, but my genuine advice would, be to I'll again split this across the various brands. Right? Big brands run big sales, make big money. Right? Medium brands warm up your customers before sale days on cheaper CPM. Run a sale, make money. Smaller brands shouldn't try to push too much during this sale periods is what we genuinely advise, because we've always seen that as a bad light. Great things have not happened during the high CPM days for the smaller brands, mainly because of the media budget restrictions. Right? Everyone's running a big sale, and everyone has 10x of BAU budgets. CPMs are just booming up, and it's a game that only a few should play when these things happen, right? But at the same time, the benefit over here is that you can warm up your audiences way before sale. You can run them on the top, and whoever hasn't converted, run them as just your bottom of the funnel remarketing ads for the sale, and try to churn out as much as possible with the least ad spend. And again, applies to all industries the same way. It's just about the size of the brand.
Got it. So basically, large brands, of course, will go big on this period, but media brands should previously in let's say the run up to the campaigns, run up to the season, should do more add to cart campaigns so that they have at least built out those audiences.
Website visitors, add to cart, even video views for a matter of fact. It's just that you're getting the same person to see something a little before for cheaper, right? And catch them when the sale comes, because you already have them on the picture. Catch them when the sale comes and try to churn out as much as possible from them.
Got it. Very interesting. Very interesting. And you're saying clearly that small brands which are doing small amount of transactions should stay away or should run the BAU campaigns.
By stay away,
don't just get into the FOMO zone.
Right. No, by stay away, I didn't mean shut the campaigns. I didn't mean shut the business. What I meant is just stick to BAU. Stick to BAU, maybe a little more than BAU if needed, if the offer is enticing, or if some metrics make sense. Because unit economics is super important for these. It's important for everyone, but then for them it's a daily thing, right? So what happens there is that a small mistake can end a lot of things over there. So on these big sale days, keep up to BAU, keep up to a little more than BAU if needed, but don't get into the FOMO zone, like you said, just into the rush with, spending more, imagining that, great returns are going to come out of that. We've seen a lot of instances where that didn't happen. So genuine advice is don't.
Awesome. And specifically from OND, which is October, November, December, while October is, marketplaces are on sale. How do you see that, for a D2C brand, would they be going heavy on November, December as marketplaces are on sale? Then it becomes very difficult to compete and you have competing prices across marketplaces. So how have you seen the trend over the past years?
Very honestly, we've seen October is also a good month for D2C. Not seen a big dip. In fact, October is a month where we've seen good targets also for brands. That is also majorly due to, so very honestly, the D2C brands that, are there out in the market, let's say maybe, I'm not statistically sure, but at least 95% are listed on the marketplaces yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little less than 90% or something. So what happens also during this time, right, Chirag, is that there is spillover. there is spillover, right? So now let's say we are driving good amount of traffic to the website. Person likes the product, person likes the experience. Everything is great, right? But they might go and buy the same product off the marketplace just cause it's running on a cheaper price or maybe some kind of a deal that the marketplace is doing. So because of that, what happens is that when you look at it as an overall, October is a great month for a brand if you combine D2C and marketplaces and all these things. Right? So not seen like a situation where October has downplayed, but I think this October is something I'm looking forward to see what's
Awesome.
going to happen.
Great. And when you said, and I think you mentioned this 2-3 times during the conversation, where the CPMs are going high. And I'm asking this, like, are you seeing newer channels emerge in our country which are low on CPMs, which people should be overspending on, or at least should be experimenting on? And I'm asking this because I was in Indonesia last week, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be surprised that 20% of e-commerce in that country is happening by TikTok. So
Uh-huh.
we are
Oh,
surely missing TikTok.
oh,
Uh,
yeah,
so are
of
you
course.
seeing any Indian, or any other newer channels which are coming up,
Right.
which should be able to at least support some of these high tax zones? How are you looking at it?
So, I mean, a good question, very valid question based on the current scenario. So, just to give you a hint, right? So, the major channels that we all know is Meta and Google. I mean, the family of Meta and Google. But apart from that, at Hovers, we have experimented for at least a while on multiple platforms for various of our clients, coming with various needs. So, these channels are Quora, we've tried Twitter, we've tried ShareChat, we've tried even Bing, right? We've tried Bing as well, and we've
Wow.
tried Snapchat. Out of all these channels, if let's say the product is for a specific TG, which is a little teenager or till 24, 25, Snapchat works really well. Snapchat is a good channel. Snapchat is a very good channel, but the only drawback here is that it's not open to everyone. Your product has to, or your brand has to serve that TG. So if it does, Snapchat is a good channel. We've seen great results on Snapchat.
Wow.
Apart from that, if you ask me, I've not seen any other channel perform well for us at least as of now. I think we have a little more to explore, but Snapchat, yes, it's a good channel.
And I think you were also mentioning, Middle East as the region. In
Mm-hmm.
Middle East, I've seen Ulta, wherein 25 to 30% of their transactions are coming via affiliates.
From
Are you seeing affiliates?
affiliates, yeah.
Are you seeing some high trustworthy large affiliate channels in our country which are contributing or which are unexplored or which have become big in that zone?
Not really. I've not come across anything like that, but I mean, that's a very good question actually. Not come across anything like. Happy to hear from you if there's something that you're aware about.
Oh, yeah, I was also curious that
Yeah.
how are very adjacent countries behave very differently.
Oh yeah,
But TikTok, of course, is a forced one, so
yeah.
that is understandable. But affiliates, I was surprised that in UAE and in Saudi as a region, you get 25% plus on affiliates, yeah,
True,
which is huge, man.
true. It's very huge. It's very. I mean, if you had that sort of affiliate in India, I think everybody would be unit positive.
Yeah,
But
maybe
yeah,
that's what we need to crack to ensure that this industry continues to grow.
probably. I think that's a very powerful point. But then again, right? In the Middle East, Snapchat is a very big channel. In fact,
Totally.
it's much bigger than Instagram, if I'm not wrong. Don't count me on that. But Snapchat is a very huge channel. In fact, the way they introduce each other is what is your snap? Is what we saw when we were down there, right? So I think a little difference in human behavior, or the way people communicate, or even I'm not even going to the place where transaction happens. Just talking in terms of how trust is built in different regions, and I think certain channels are working better there than here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I think one question which at least Joyita had pulled out from one of our team members was that, and which I think probably they get a lot of this question from some of the brands which we work with, is that I'm sure you run multiple campaigns for multiple clients. Do you use any tool? How do you automate? Because once you start small, okay, it's okay to do it manually, but then how do you scale that part? Do you do clubbing at product level, category level, brand level? How do you typically process such scale?
Yeah. So very honestly, at Hovers, we don't use any tool. It's completely manually driven. But at the same time, I think what we bring on the table, even at scale or even at a small pace, is the learnings that we have across industries, right? In fact, if you ask me now, we work with skincare brands. I know what a haldi and hyaluronic acid is. I know what a neem DHA is, right? Even though I'm not a user of all this, just because we work with them, it's part of getting to learn those things. Now, if I'm selling saris, right? If they're working with a sari brand, I need to know what is a Kanjivaram silk, or I need to know what is a Kashmiri shawl, right? So all these things kind of help us with learning about the product and their target audience, right? Now, executionally, what happens is that everything is done manually, but the benefit of this is that everything can be cross-checked between people, even at scale. So again, it's a little different from how automation and all works. This is done by our team. So we're a team of 24 people today, and we work completely manual. It's just that the learnings that we have with all the brands that we have, we share it with each other, and we try to experiment on what can work for whom and try to scale the brand. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think just another point here, Chirag. Just another point here, since you were asking, is it at the brand level or a campaign level? So it's actually at an industry level. The learnings that comes is actually at an industry level, or I would say a category level. And post that, things fall into.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I think at least I covered most of the things. You want to ask me anything?
Absolutely. I was just wondering, right, Chirag, what do you think is like the next stage? I'll just go broad. I'm just not going to stick to performance marketing here. Just want to pick your thoughts on, what is the next stage for D2C, as we know. Or let's go a little more broader. Let's think of e-commerce, at least in the region. What is the next step for e-commerce? And maybe we can speak a little on ONDC or something like that. Would love to know your thoughts.
I think multiple, dimensions to think about this question. One is that where are marketplaces headed? So marketplaces are maturing in our country, and as commissions rise, you will see that they'll become retailers, and it'll become BAU. Emergence of new brands will stop there, and that's how typically in offline world you've seen that there comes a new retailer. Everyone gets an opportunity, but then the retailer, stabilizes, and then they have their own margin pressures which come in, and hence, a very different ballgame starts. Which also means that somebody else will come up with a newer thing, and those newer things, at least what we are seeing, is social commerce, WhatsApp conversation commerce, or the larger trend for us is that commerce is moving closer to content. It's moving away from storefront, and it's moving closer to content. That content can be conversation, that content can be social, etc. So we believe that D2C brands, of course, we thematically believe the story that that's going to continue, and we see that in many countries. Probably they're a couple of years behind. It's a secular one, right? It's the same as that what we see in offline world, where there are malls which are retailers, which is as good as what we have a marketplace. And then you have these exclusive branded outlets, which is the D2C, right? Yeah. So, it's there in the offline world that, you need to look at it from a distance and you will see the similarities. And so that's one axis to look at. And of course, we see a lot of D2C brands going global. So they will go global. We believe that specifically in adjacent countries such as Middle East, Saudi, Dubai, etc., you will see Indian D2C brands winning. So that's
100%, 100%. We're seeing that as well. That's really good. Yeah.
So that's one trend which we are witnessing, wherein Mamaearth is already there, Sugar is already there, Demons I think is already there. Many brands I know are thinking about it. So that's starting to happen. I think that's one change. I think people need to figure out, India is a hard country to build businesses. So people need to figure out the unit economics, for what categories, at what play points D2C will work. People need to figure out the retention strategies, that how do you ensure day one that retention is going to happen. And there are emerging playbooks of that how do you do loyalty rewards, some of those things. And I think usage of data, or the first part data which you collect, how does that get enabled? I think that's going to unlock the next stage of growth. So which will lead to personalization, some of those things. So that's how at least I'm thinking, and I'm very, very bullish on the space.
And absolutely, I align with that. In fact, I'd like to share something a recent client had told me. Right? So, very great client, but somehow the ROAS is not that great. We've tried out everything. But still, he came back and he said, Alan, this is still better than the retail market, so I'm okay with this. So that was something like, which got me into the retail aspect of things, because I was not really aware how margins work on the retail space, or I'm a digital boy, you can say. So I've been born up in the digital space. So little different from you. So when I heard that, and when you were saying about how the retailer comes on board, establishes, and just keeps increasing his margins, it's a very tough world out there as well. So yeah, for sure, long way.
Awesome. Awesome. No, we are in the early stages. Yeah, let's keep building. We are both trying to enable the space. Let's keep building on the space, and hoping that we are headed in the right direction.
100%. Yeah.